Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Kraado Learn session. Today we are having a tech talk episode, and then we have a wonderful speaker to do this with us. But like we always do, we try to talk about what Kraado is. But today I'm going to keep it short and simple. I would say Kraado is a program that validates skills. So whatever you picked from school, whatever you are doing right now, come join us, take up projects and join our programs and then build these skills and validate them. Um, this evening, we have a very wonderful speaker with us, and then I'll just do a brief introduction. I'm not sure if I'll do good justice to this, but then I'll try. So we have Rasheeda Yehuza with us. She's a software engineer and also a designer. She has worked with a number of startups in Ghana and in Nigeria, and she's a co-founder of Tech Needs Girls Ghana and Nasara Tech Limited. Currently, Rashida is in Berlin. She's in Berlin as a software engineer. She enjoys coding, playing guitar, and then also can't really see my screen. Yeah, she also does content for YouTube. So thank you, Rashida, for joining us. I think we'll work with coffee for today.
Thank you for having me. Welcome again. It's really lovely to have you. We've been planning this for months.
Yes.
Finally, it's here. So we did it. Okay. Thank you once again. And do you want to say anything else about yourself, or Stefan did a good job doing the introduction?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, very high level intro. So that's good.
Okay. I want to take the privilege to start off first. I know Sosu asked the first question. On record, he asked the first question, but let me just be the first person to ask the question. Then my question is, can you tell us about your current role in Berlin with Wayfair, and just maybe a little bit of details?
Sure. So I moved to Berlin in 2018, so beginning of 2018, in January. And I moved to work at Wayfair as a software engineer. Over time, I've been promoted to a senior software engineer. So my job at Wayfair as a senior software engineer, in terms of how it has grown over the last couple of years, has been taking up more responsibility and being like a tech lead on different projects within the company. So Wayfair is sort of like IKEA and Amazon combined. So it's e-commerce for the home, and it was founded in the US. Our headquarters is in Boston, but it has its European branch in Berlin with a huge engineering team. So given that it's a big company, there's so many different departments, and which means you have to learn so many different technologies to be able to work with all of these departments. So from SRE to data tech to payments and pricing, like you're kind of working with everyone, and you need to know so much to be able to integrate different people's tools. So my day-to-day is usually maybe coming up with like a design or documentation or architecture plan for a feature that I want to implement, either building a new piece of software or adding to what already exists, getting feedback, and figuring out what the best technology would be for that application that I'm building. So if it's to persist information, figure out what the best database would be. So when we want to go use NoSQL or use SQL or use graph databases. So yeah, a lot of, I think maybe 40% of the time I am trying to figure out how to write good applications, and then 60% of the time I'm actually executing, because spending more time and to plan out the application or the new feature that you're building is very important. yeah, so that's like on a very high level what my role is, but also talking with business, because I do interface with the business and our stakeholders and try to get their feedback, relay their feedback to the team, and make sure that we're implementing. Yeah, and also lots of monitoring. So many different hats because
Okay, so
we work with different.
I got it. I realized that you work a lot. So what do you do after work?
After work, so it depends on the day. It depends on the day. So on some days I would play video games. I like to play Age of Empires. So I join an online game and I play for a few hours. So that's usually on Fridays. But today we have kraado. So but on other days I put like a hard stop by either like I just grab my guitar and I try to strum. I don't play anything meaningful, but it just sounds okay. And I'm constantly learning, trying to learn new chords and trying to learn new like new songs. The other thing is I'm part of a women's football team here in Berlin. So we play for fun. So I play like on Tuesdays or Thursdays. We're actually in a league. So when we have to do practice for some games, I could go. But because of COVID,
before we realize you are in the national team, please
no,
don't tell us.
our team is not good at all. We're always like at the bottom of the league. But nobody's asking about that. We don't do such a because everybody plays for fun. It's not like a very serious or professional team. So yeah, that's usually what I would do. Those are the three main things. And I also like to garden. So
hey, sure, right? Woman of many skills. That's nice. Stefan, can we populate the questions? And as we are doing that, is there anyone who wants to ask questions right now? I would take like 3 people before we get to the questions that we already have. Yes, your environment has to be quiet. Okay, so please go on, Michael.
Yeah, Rasheeda, thank you very much for the great introduction. And then my question is actually still about the introduction, but then I want you to back up a little bit and then tell us where you have probably the basic education and then how you ended up in Berlin.
Sure, yeah, I can do that. So I was born in Tamale in Ghana, and I moved to Accra to do my high school education. So at St. Mary's High. After St. Mary's, I went to KNUST to study computer science. So I graduated in 2013. So during that time, I started my like a company called Nasara Tech. It was mainly to provide bulk messaging to companies and to improve information dissemination on campus, but we ended up having a lot of customers outside of campus. And also, like we had a voting system. And after university, I started working for a company called Voter Mobile. It's now called Viamo. It was one of the, like, it was a really great job because I was able to do some fellowships, like went to Canada to do like a fellowship, which sort of opened my mind to the tech scene outside of Ghana. And then I also did the Mandela Fellowship, which was also like studied business and entrepreneurship in University of Nevada, Reno, which was also really good because it gave me a platform to see that, my skills could be applied outside of Ghana and in so many other places. But I wanted a change of environment. I wanted to work outside of like my comfort zone, which at this point was Ghana. And I found an opportunity in Abuja, Nigeria with Hello Tractor. Around that time, I was interested in agriculture and how technology could be used in agric. So I moved to Abuja in 2016. I was working with Hello Tractor, and we were basically building like the Uber for tractors. So using IoT and like an Android application interfacing, so people could use SMS as well to text and find the nearest tractor and book using our service. So it was fun, but I was looking for more challenges, and that's when Berlin happened. So I moved to Berlin in the beginning of 2018, and I've been there since. Yeah. And throughout this journey, mostly working as a software engineer, dabbled a little bit into entrepreneurship, but it was never really my goal to completely be like a business owner or to leave software engineering. So,
Wow.
yeah.
You have a big track record. I'm sure those of us here who are in the university are listening and taking notes so that they can come back to you for some private sessions. Okay, so I will move quickly to Sosu. Sosu's question is, at what point can one identify themselves as a senior developer?
You know, that's a very, very good question. And it's also an interesting question because it's, I mean, it depends. I think it depends on so many things. So if you ask me what I am, I would say I'm a software engineer, software developer. I'll never say I'm a senior software engineer, senior developer. The senior is attached to it because of where I work. And it's in terms of structures. So at many companies, you have like different levels. And with those levels come like titles, right? So like someone can have 4 years of experience, but be a senior developer, and someone can have 8 years of experience, but not have that title of a senior developer. So if you're looking at it from like the work perspective, it's really tied to the levels. But you can also look at seniority from experience. So if maybe I'm jumping on a project or I decide I want to learn Rust, I don't have any experience in Rust. If someone has 1 year experience in Rust, to me, that person is a senior developer in that field, in Rust. So I think from my perspective, seniority has to do with experience in a specific field or like in a specific language or area. People have different experiences and they have different like skill set in those areas. And then it also has to do with the company and the titles that the company gives based on how high you go on the developer chain, if you might. So yeah, I think there isn't like one definition. It just depends on the circumstance. That's from my perspective. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I hope you got your answer. Are you trying to become a senior? Yes, you raise your hand. Go on.
Yes, please. I'll try to become a senior developer, and I'll be
In which area?
In let's say Flutter, Laravel, and Flutter and Laravel. Yes.
And recently you added iOS. You said you wanted to move to iOS.
Yes, please. I want to move to iOS also.
But I think Flutter is connected to iOS, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, cool.
Okay, then the next question is from Emmanuel. Emmanuel says, what's the major difference between the African and the European tech scene? Why is America on my mind?
To be honest, I would say the major difference is opportunities. They're just like, if you compare the opportunities in the African tech scene to the opportunities in Europe, the opportunities in Europe far outnumber the opportunities in Africa. And when you look at opportunities, it ties to like it comes up like for individuals, it influences us, it impacts us in a certain way, because in Europe, you can go from company to company, try so many different things till you figure out which company you want to stay at, or you figure out what you actually like, if you want to go off and then start your own thing. But in Ghana, there aren't so many. I can't speak for the whole of Africa. I can maybe only focus on Ghana because that's what I know. But in Ghana, you can like there aren't so many opportunities to work in like so many different fields. Like you can decide you want to work in the automotive industry, and Germany has so many great companies. If you go to BMW, or you can even go to like Mercedes, they all have software engineering departments, and you get a variety of like experiences, like different approaches to solving problems. So over here, I think there's so many opportunities that you can try so many things and become good at so many things. Yeah, so like if I really look at Ghana and like Europe, I think Europe is a whole continent, but it's, to me, I think it's the opportunities. There's so many other things as well, because at first I would have said resources, but I think like there's so much, there's access to free resources now all over the internet. So I don't think that's like a drawback, but the opportunities are. And
fortunately, we have someone in house. She's also in Europe, in France to be precise. So she wants to add her voice to, in an attempt to bring some kind of different viewpoints.
Yeah,
to the
that's
question.
great.
Yes, and this is Samira. Samira, you have the floor.
Thank you. So she spoke from, I mean, what she said is true. The thing about resources is not a major difference. Like she said, like in Ghana, maybe the only difference would be in Ghana, data is expensive and maybe it's difficult for some people to purchase like high-end computers and things like that. But what you have, you can work with. So resources is not exactly a hindrance for people from Africa to compete with people in Europe. And like she said, with the opportunities, yeah, it seems there are more opportunities probably in Europe than in Africa. But like, if you are skilled or if you upskill, if you are able to like make yourself a better developer with the resources that you have, which is basically the same thing that exists here, then you can apply for opportunities beyond Africa and still get a chance to work there. So if you are skilled or if you have experience, don't restrict yourself to, like if you're in Ghana, don't restrict yourself to Ghanaian companies because you might never really get a job. The competition is high everywhere. But like in European countries, if you are lucky to find a company where they want diversity, they might skip some of their people to pick, like foreigners just for diversity's sake, especially if you are female. That's another thing. And I also wanted to say one difference that I felt when I came here was the mindset of people here compared to people in Africa. Like in Africa, you study like basics and you do like a Hello World app and you call yourself a developer. But here, like people want to go beyond that. Like they literally challenge themselves. Like I'm working in a startup now, and we are all young people, like people straight from school, and we are doing this huge project that nobody has done before. We all don't know what we are doing, but we are working on it and we are learning along the way. And my technical director is like my age, so we don't know what we are doing, but we are prepared to, you know, burn the midnight candle to understand what is going on, understand the technology and use it and make a product for a client. So it's the guts. If you don't have guts, you will not survive in the tech industry, basically. And that is not something that should be a huge difference between Africans and non-Africans. The only problem I see in Africa is like our upbringing, which kind of clouds your judgment and makes you think like you're inferior or something like that. That's something you need to get rid of.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Samira.
that's the main thing.
Thanks for adding your voice and your experience. Yes, as it said, no one is better than us, and we are not better than them. We are all equal. We just have to capitalize on opportunities presented and make the best out of it. So, Stefan, next question, or anyone in-house wants to ask a question. Michael, you've had your turn. So, but then...
This is just a follow-up on the initial question that Rasheeda asked. And then initially the question was for Rasheeda, but then because of the response that Samira gave, I think I would like to redirect the question to Samira. So in terms of bridging the gap between European countries and then American countries, how long do you guys think it's going to take for us to equalize whatever is going on? Because I believe wherever you are and then whatever you're doing, the problems that you're trying to solve are problems that are in those countries and not problems in Africa. So as Africans, when or how do we improve ourselves? And then in terms of time estimation, how long do you guys think it's going to take before we bridge this gap? Do we have hope in Africa as Africans to solve problem in Africa rather
Okay,
than look for it?
thank you,
Well,
Michael.
Michael can
We will
contact
not
me later.
answer that question today. We'll answer that question probably later on because we don't have enough time and we have over 15 questions waiting to be answered. And then it will end up taking us away from the reason why we are here, which is to motivate people to get into tech and stay in tech to help solve Africa's problems. So please allow us to move on to the next question.
That's fine. Please proceed.
All right. I'll just go to the ones that are here. The question is, what's the difference in job responsibility between a junior and a senior engineer?
Okay. The question is different from the one on the slide. So
Yeah, that's because the slide one wasn't coming, then I had to ask one from there.
okay. Sorry, can you please repeat the question?
What is the difference in job responsibility between a junior and a senior engineer?
Right. So most of the my answers are just from my perspective. I think from what I've seen within my company and also within like other tech companies is usually when someone is junior, it's mostly tied to experience. So if I think right now in the tech scene, if you have like 4 or 5 years of experience, you are regarded as like a mid-level like engineer. A junior engineer may or may not have experience like working in the tech industry. And I think if you're 6+ years or so, you are considered, you could still be mid-level or senior. So at least in my company, when we say junior, we could either mean you have experience in tech or you don't. So I think it really depends on like what specific field, like what specific field in tech that someone is being referred to as like a junior. Because you could be a junior in like in web development, you could be a junior in AI development, even though you have software engineering experience. So I think it's specifically tied to the experience the person has had in the field that they are applying to. I don't really think it has much to do with age. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I don't think so either.
Yeah.
And the next question is, what are the barriers to diversity in tech communities? It's not from the screen, also reading from the question pool.
Okay. What are the barriers to
diversity in tech community?
Tech community. In what context? I'm trying to understand.
This person isn't here, so however you understand it.
Oh, I think maybe someone wants to elaborate. Yeah.
Yana, do you want to elaborate? Are you the one who asked the question? Hello? Okay. If you have an answer to that, please go ahead and attempt it.
Coffee, just to comment. I think the person was talking about in terms of racial backgrounds. Racial backgrounds.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So that I'm guessing that's outside of Ghana in this context. I think when it comes to I don't have much context around this question, but I'm guessing one of it could be what's preventing diversity in tech, and the question could potentially be asked, like the person could potentially be asking what are the barriers, like maybe
barriers to entry
minority people face in tech. I'm not entirely sure. but either ways, I think for the latter, there are biases everywhere, right? I think that's one of the challenges. Like that's one of also like my biggest challenge working in Germany, working outside of Ghana. Like there's so many. There's people have their own biases. People have their own generalizations, and that definitely, and they definitely bring that to work, and it's very unconscious. They have no idea they are doing it. But of course, it does affect you. It does affect your work, and I think it. Part of why it happens could also tie to like the first possible meaning to this question, which is the fact that there aren't so many, there isn't a lot of representation in tech in terms of diversity aspect. So sometimes people don't know how to act, or people immediately doubt you because they've probably never worked with someone like you before. So they immediately doubt that you can actually perform. And I think for me in my field, I always have to, like, I need to make sure that I'm outperforming everyone. I cannot be normal. I cannot be mediocre like everybody else, because like like I constantly have to be aware of the fact that I'm judged more than everybody else. And I need to make sure that people can only see my work and not me and like maybe how I look. So yeah, there's so many barriers. There's a lot of bias, but cannot really change how people think. You cannot really change how people feel about you, but you can only change how they see you, and that's only based on your work. And,
Okay, all right.
I really hope that was the question, because I wasn't entirely sure how to respond to it.
No, you answered it. You answered it. So yes, we'll move on to the next one. And the question is from Joseph. After learning the basics of a particular language, what next, please?
Well, that's a really good question. So after learning the basics of a language, I think the most important thing is to start working on projects, because that's the only way you're going to learn. Yeah, I mean, you're going to keep learning, and the only way you're going to learn things that you wouldn't find in like a course, because you get to experience and realize that there are so many different libraries you could be using to speed up your work, and different ways of doing things. So my advice to most people who are like studying a new programming language is to identify a project that's interesting to you. Most people start with a to-do list or like a weather app if you want to learn about APIs. So like once you learn the basics, find a project that's interesting to you, something extremely simple, most likely a CRUD application. So you're creating, reading, updating, and deleting something from a database, or you're just reading information from an API. So you can learn how to persist information, pull that information, and display that information like to users. So it could be via the terminal or it could be web. It just depends on what exactly you are learning. So project, and that helps you to do a lot of practice.
Okay. That said, the question just went, but I think I saw the question is gone, so I have to go back to the other one that we have here.
Yeah, the question was on how to identify your tech strength and build on it.
Okay, so it's still about self-awareness, identifying your strengths and skills. So what tricks did you use? How did you figure this out as the way you are now? What did you do to get where you are?
Right. That's a really good question, because I definitely failed at so many things. I tried so many things, and just I think it boiled down to my interest in general. So I tried game development. I tried mobile development with Android. I tried embedded systems, so using like Raspberry Pi. I tried all those things, and in the end, I realized that I like working with I like full stack development, which is like having UI and everything that has to do with it. And I also like writing microservices. So basically back-end development. So I also like writing, like building applications that provide services. So in this case, it doesn't necessarily have to be just completely back-end. It can be like a full-fledged system that others use without a front end. So I like, I think and I also figured that I like the aspect of like architecting, like so coming up with an idea, like building it out, like having like good documentation for it. So in terms of knowing what you're good at, I wouldn't necessarily start from there. I would start from figuring out what you like, what is interesting to you. Because if you are interested in that particular area or expertise, I mean, I still like tinkering with like Raspberry Pis, but it's not something I do on a day-to-day. But I know I'm completely like I really like enjoy working with those with those devices. So I think once you know exactly what you like, it's going to be very motivating for you as well, because you keep learning and you keep like working on different projects that would like inspire you as well. So I would say focus on figuring out what you like working on as opposed to trying to find what you're good at. Because you'll most likely be good at what you like. I think that's at least that's what worked for me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. There's a question here from the Q&A. Can software engineering be blended with mechanical engineering?
Oh, wow. So I haven't done mechanical engineering, but I know mechanical engineering is tied to it's tied to hardware, and you also do a lot of design around it. It's also tied to software because you have to build like parts of machines that work and parts of machines that have embedded software. So I would say in this part of our world, at least from what I gathered when I was on campus, was most mechanical engineers were not necessarily, like they didn't necessarily combine computer science. So it was seen as a completely different field or a completely different area. And I think it's just as broad as computer science, because if you do study computer science, you could go into so many different fields. You can go into the hardware aspect, the security aspect, the engineering, like software aspect. There's just so much. And I think it's similar with like mechanical engineering. So I think if a mechanical engineer wants to also build embedded systems, then I think it like you most likely like connect the two. So software engineering and mechanical engineering. But it's extremely broad. You can definitely go the mechanical engineering route without having to touch software at all. But I think given that a lot of companies are moving towards electric cars and self-driving cars, a lot of mechanical engineers have to pick up some programming skills along the way, because it just helps you get better at the job. So if you go on Tesla's site right now, you look for job opportunities in that area. Sometimes they require you to know like C or C++. So I think there's some involvement going on there.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. We have Hartwell. Hartwell says, what does it really mean to be a techie, or at least tech savvy? How can you keep up with the fastest growing industry?
What does it mean to be a techie?
Yes.
I mean,
Hartwell, are you in the audience right now? Okay, he's not here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hello,
he
I'm
is.
here.
yes, yeah. Hello.
Hello. Hello, Rasheeda. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking this question.
Yeah, so actually what I was driving at is it in the tech to be a software developer, there are a lot of languages, a lot of stuff that you need to know. You need to know about databases, you need to know about programming languages and all that. So at what point can you say you are tech savvy?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think if for anyone here who's a software developer, like software engineers are the most opinionated people on earth. Like we're so opinionated, it's crazy. So I think to be tech savvy, you don't need to know like everything, because I think there are a lot of people who want to know everything. They want to have like a conversation, and they want to be able to like know all the different technologies related to databases. And then when it comes to software release, and they want like they're just those people. So I think it boils down to interest. Like you can be techie and know a lot of things, but doesn't necessarily mean you practice those things. Like it doesn't necessarily mean you like use those things on a daily basis. Some people just like to read. They like to learn new technologies, but not necessarily dive into like using that technology on a daily basis. So I think even if you can have a conversation on one or two things, you can call yourself a techie. Being a techie is not really attached to skill level or like title. It's just, I would say it's just like it's just a way to connect with people and have conversations in areas that everyone else is interested in. Like, so like I've never used that for myself. Like I never say I'm a techie because I don't fully understand what that means, like to be a techie. But to be tech savvy, you don't need to be a specialist in whatever you're discussing. It's fine if you just find it interesting and you want to know more. Yeah. I hope I answered your question, or at least try to answer your question that well.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Stefan, there was a question before that. Can you go back to that question? The one about, yes, how was your decision on career choice in the university, and why now an engineer?
Cool. So I studied computer science in university. And when you study computer science, you can go into so many different fields. As I said earlier, I tried different things like game development and like trying to figure out if I could tinker with embedded systems. But one thing that resonated with me was like being able to solve problems with tech. And a lot of times it was very easy for me to like prototype something by building like a web application. So to have a back end and a front end. So I just naturally started like moving towards full stack development. And for a lot of companies that I worked with, they were all doing full stack development. So the choice to be an engineer or a developer, someone who develops software, really just like it was a natural progression for me, because I saw it as a way for me to easily prototype solutions compared to like game development. Those ones are very niched. Same as like if you want to build an Android application or an iOS application, it's very niched. So I wanted to have that scope, because the web is everybody uses the web. So to specifically become an engineer, it was just because I liked the idea of being able to solve problems quickly. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have someone raise their hand, Nanajua Ifriye. Please, you have the floor.
Hi. Hello. Can you
Yes,
hear me?
hi. Yes, but speak up a little bit.
Sure. Thank you. So I wanted to find out what approach would you recommend for people who don't have a background in data science and have worked for some time and would like to transition now into tech, into programming for this analytics? Like, where do you recommend they start from in order to build up?
That's a really good question, Nanajua, and I have a very good friend on the call. I don't want to put so much pressure on her, but she's like an amazing data scientist. Karis, I don't know if you'd like to help out with this question, but no pressure if you say your mic is not working.
Let me see. She's still on. Her mic is not working.
Yeah. Sure.
Hi, Doris. Rasheeda.
Hi.
I guess it's more of a transferable skills. You still have to use like your software engineering skills, but you have to get an interest in trying to understand data, and for that you would need to do a lot of learning in statistics, trying to make sense of data you have, like that curiosity of why things are the way they are. So you end up using like your software engineering skills as a tool, but your main interest has to be understanding the data and understanding how statistics can be used in that aspect.
Amazing. Thanks so much.
Angela, is that okay, or you want? Go on, yeah.
Yes,
Go on and ask the
that's
following.
fine. Yes, I get what you mean, but I also don't have a background in software engineering. So then from what you're saying, then it means you need to get into the statistics bit of it and also develop your skills in the software engineering part. So yes,
Right.
that's I took from it.
I think I can add a little bit to this because I've been learning data science and AI just like on the side for fun, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with Coursera and Udacity. So I've taken this course. There's this guy called Andrew Ng, Andrew NG. It's a Stanford course. It's free, and it introduces you to like it's an introduction to data science, artificial intelligence, and it's a course that anyone can take. So it's a good like foundation. And once you take that course, they would recommend the next one to take. So it could be introduction to Python. So even if you have absolutely no software engineering experience, you would be able to like pick up Python. And afterwards, you go to intermediate, and then you can start working with frameworks that help you analyze data. So I would recommend it. I would put it in the chat, like when I'm able to type. Yeah. So
Okay, sure. Thank you very much.
thank you too.
You're welcome.
And thanks, Karis.
There's also another course on Coursera by Google. It's a professional certification in data analytics for beginners. You can start from there. It's really beginner friendly, and I'm one of the students, so I can speaking from experience. So you can try that, but it's not free. But if you're a student, you can make a case to get scholarship. So try that as well.
Sure, noted. Thank you.
Okay. Nicholas' question is, which one has higher prospect? AWS solution architect, full stack developer, or software developer? Hey, this one gets some people angry.
Hands down full stack. Because if you're full stack, you're all of those things. If you are a software developer, like if you put it on your resume, so let's say I'm hiring for like a position, and I get three resumes. Someone has AWS solutions architect, one is a full stack developer, and the other one is a software developer. The one that would stand out to me would be the full stack developer, because I know this person has experience across multiple stacks. But the software developer could also have experience across multiple stacks, but they probably didn't put it there. So I'm just going to focus on the full stack developer. And if someone is full stack, I expect them to be able to deploy their applications. That's either using Kubernetes or like whatever deployment tools that they use. And to be able to deploy your application, you can either use so many of these hosting platforms, and most people go with AWS. So if you've ever deployed your own application that's not using like the free sites, you're gonna go with either AWS, DigitalOcean, Linode, or all those other things. And you basically learn like when you deploy your own app. And AWS is not so like it's so niched, because right now you have Google Cloud, you have Asia, you have so many, like I forget what IBM says, but there's so many of these cloud there's so many of these cloud services that being a specialist in one doesn't really give you like an upper hand over someone who has experience in so many. So unless, of course, you're applying to a role that says you should be an AWS solutions architect, I think that's something you can learn. And I wouldn't necessarily focus my whole career on being an AWS solutions architect. But I'm guessing there is maybe like a niche for that, if those are the jobs that you want to apply for. So personally, for me, I would go with a full stack developer because I'm a full stack developer and I get to do everything. Like I get on my personal projects, I get to deploy my own applications. I get to use AWS. I get to use Google Cloud. I get to use so many things, and that's exciting. And I wouldn't want to be like a niche. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was a very good response. Japheth, you want to say? Do you have a question?
I think he wants to contribute in terms of the cloud side of things because he's a cloud architect.
Japheth, please go ahead and contribute.
Okay. Hi everyone. So just to add to this, I'm a cloud solutions engineer, and in terms, I don't have very much experience from the full stack development or software development side of things. So in terms of what the tech scene is morphing into in the Ghanaian economy right now, it looks like there's a lot of opportunities opening up in the cloud sphere. So there is a lot of emphasis on having some sort of certification in terms of, or experience in terms of the major cloud providers, which is like Google Cloud, Azure, and then AWS. So speaking from the Ghanaian side of things, from how the economy is currently morphing into, it looks like the demand for cloud solution architects is actually going up a bit, and is something that I would definitely advise you, if you have an interest in, to take that up, because it looks like there is a skills gap, and in terms of what the demands of the industry is and what people, the skills people actually have to bring. And so there are a lot of companies in the cloud space that are actually looking for solution architects who have knowledge in these clouds, but they are not able to find them to actually match those positions. And it's a big problem at the moment. So there is certainly the opportunity to take such to take such roles if you have an interest in it, and it's definitely growing.
Okay. Thanks for your contribution, Japheth.
Thanks. That's good to know. Yeah.
Okay, we have Achu. Achu, are you still here? Achu's question is how to break into tech from a non-technical background. And Achu is a salesperson.
Salesperson. Okay, that's great. So I think I would. Tech is probably the easiest thing to break into, just because it doesn't really cost much. Software engineering has become, and I'm going to speak from software, like the software engineering perspective, has become like it's available almost everywhere, like in every sector, in every company uses some type of software. And as a result, there are so many tutorials online to do different things. But if the goal is to break into tech in terms of building tech products and like building software, I would say your best bet is just go on Google and chat and type like learn programming, for example. There's so many different sites like Plural Plus, the Plural site. There is W3 Schools. That's like one of the easiest one. There's Geek to Geeks, and those websites do not like Plural sites. They have courses, but like W3 Schools and Geek to Geeks, they don't necessarily have courses. They give you snippets of things. So like you get a topic like how to like maybe HTML, and they kind of break it down at an extremely beginner level. So if you want to start with maybe web development, and I usually, like when people are breaking into tech, I usually like advise them to start with the extreme basics, which is web, because everybody uses web. And a lot of people get excited when they're able to like get a text on a website, because maybe that's not what you want to finally go into, but it just gives you that confidence that, yeah, you can also do something. And all you need is a text, like a note app. I don't usually advise people to try to set up an environment, which is what you have to do if you're starting with Python or all those things. I just say, try HTML. Just open up a notes app on your phone, like on your device, that's your laptop. Try HTML. So like maybe you say hello world, and once you see it load up in a website, like in a browser, it motivates a lot of people. So yeah, and once you realize you can do it, the next thing is to start researching on like languages. Python is a great language to start with because it's much closer to English. Like you understand what you're reading. So if you go to YouTube, you'll find so many, and I mean like so many YouTube, like so many tutorials on Python. But if you're someone who likes to read, Coursera also has free like Python tutorials, the same as Udacity. So yeah, I would definitely recommend maybe just write a hello world in HTML. You don't need to stick to it, but just to build your confidence. And then you move to maybe Python. But of course, it depends on whom you talk to. Some people might recommend C++ and some might recommend Java. But Python is easy to start with. So I would recommend that.
Alrighty, thank you. That has like lots of information, really useful information. So thank you for that. Laurentia, I noticed you're in the audience. Do you want to ask your questions live, or I should read it out?
Yes, please, you can read it out.
Okay, please turn off your. All right. Laurentia's question goes: I'm about entering my final year at school pursuing management information systems, and I recently decided to pursue a career in software development. What advice or resources would you suggest for me as a beginner, my 1 year preparation for a software engineer job after school? Are there any specific certification trainings I should have?
This is great. We need more women in tech. Yay!
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're considering moving into. But I think for you specifically, software development. But may I ask, do you have any experience coding, for example? And do you already know if you want to like write code or like, because software development in this case could also be product management, right? Like you're developing software, but you're managing that product, that software development. So you want to specifically get your hands dirty in terms of coding, and you already have like experience with software development.
Yes, actually, a lot of coding actually. I think I've done PHP, I've done HTML, CSS, I've done C++ a lot. Just that I've done I've done so much that I didn't know what to specialize in. That's what I mean. Yes, so I just realized. I think last semester we took a course in web technologies, so full stack engineering. And whereas I really love doing that. So I just now realize like I really want to focus on that. So I'm trying to build a roadmap to get there in 1 year, and I really looking for it. So I'm looking if you have any advice or resources on how to get there as quickly as possible before I finish school.
Okay, so this is great. Like, I think you have experience. You've tried so many, and you mentioned something about like you want to go into. You enjoy full stack development. So my advice, at least from my experience, would be if you haven't tried JavaScript, I would advise you try it, because JavaScript is so versatile now. You can use it for both web and then backend. So you can write, like code in Node.js, and Node.js has a lot of other frameworks like Express. Or if you want to focus on the front end, you have React.js or you have Vue.js. probably Angular, but I wouldn't suggest it. But yeah, there are so many, like with JavaScript, you can do both front end and back end. So if you're not entirely sure what to do, but you like which path to take in terms of what language to learn, but you want to do full stack development, like web development, I'll highly suggest you take a look at JavaScript and then try React and maybe Node.js. And at any point you decide you want to focus on back end or front end, you already have the basics, which is JavaScript. And then you can either switch to Node.js or React. Yeah, I think there's so many job opportunities right now for JavaScript. I'm not sure about the Ghanaian job market for JavaScript, but I know like for the European job market, if you know React JS, you know JavaScript, there's so many job opportunities. But I think it's similar in Ghana. But in Ghana, a lot of people also use Vue.js. So you might have to look at like the industry you want to apply to, and then like the country you want to apply to, if it's Ghana, and the specific industries you want to do, because some companies solely do backend and others do like front end. But you won't go wrong with JavaScript. And I'm happy to provide like follow up and do more, like provide more resources.
That's amazing. I hope she can share her contact details so we can get stuck to her later. Thank you very much.
Yeah. We'll handle that. That's why we are here as Kraado. So there'll be a follow-up. There'll be an email after this so that you get to have access to our coaches, okay? And
thank you.
Rasheeda, to sum up everything, there was a question that someone asked, but I want to paraphrase it a little bit. It was about what keeps you going? So then we can, yes, as an engineer, what keeps you going? And then if you have any final thoughts to motivate our community members to do more in tech.
Right. What keeps me going? That's a really, really good question. I think there's so many there's so many things that influence this question, because like I have my full-time job and then I also have my side projects. So on my from my job perspective, and I'm guessing this question is solely around engineering, like what keeps me going in tech, right? Not what keeps me going in life. Okay. that would be different answers to that. So what keeps me going in tech? I would say I really enjoy my job, like the work I do, because I'm constantly learning. Like for such a big company, you have to learn so many things and interact with so many people, like really, really smart people. And I interact with smart people on a daily basis. So I'm always looking for new challenges. I'm always I'm always being challenged in like solving so many problems. Like today, also probably like this week, a challenge came up, like a problem, like I had no idea how to solve it. And that's what keeps me going, because every time there's something new and I have to figure out how to solve it. And every time I figure out how to solve a problem, it basically just increases my confidence, because I usually have imposter syndrome when it comes to these things, because I think, I most likely cannot solve that. But I'm always proving myself wrong in that regard, which means that I'm always learning and I'm growing. And that just keeps me going, because that keeps me going because like I'm constantly being challenged. And when it comes to my personal projects, it's like Nasara Mobile, for instance. Like we still run in Ghana, and a lot of people use it. And just seeing so many people use the application that you build and seeing how much it impacts their organizations, it's really like it's a good feeling. And it just makes you want to keep going and to keep building more features and providing more services to them. So I'll say the like personally for me, the idea of constantly growing and being challenged, and once you're challenged, you basically have a purpose for that week or 1 month that you have to solve that problem, and then that goes away and you find something else. So that's very exciting.
All right. On that note, I would say a big thank you from us and the Kraado community. We're very excited to have you, and we'll continue to have more sessions like this. The next time will be private sessions where there'll be either mentoring or coaching. So hang on, people. Laurentia, Nana, and Elijah. There's a new student here, very new to software engineering, but he was supposed to speak, he's not spoken, so I'm putting him on the spot. Next time you're talking. Yes, thank you, Rasheeda, and thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was really great.
I'm taking this off record now so that we can have the after party. So those who contributed during the session, like sharing stuff online and giving shout out to Kraado, please stay on so that you can get your credit. Sponsored by one community member, Sosu Alfred. Thank you, Alfred.
You're welcome.